Boatworks Today is a viewer-supported show. To learn more on how you can get involved and watch extended ad-free versions of these videos, please visit our website, boatworkstoday.com, and click on the top of the heading where it says Support This Show. Thank you. Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're doing well. My name is Andy with Boatworks Today. My boiler went out. I have no heat. Freezing my ass off. Let's get started. So the material that I'm removing here is what's referred to as G10 composite. Essentially, it's a fiberglass laminate that's put together with, I think most of the time it's made with using epoxy, but I believe you can also get it with polyester and vinyl ester resin. But it's basically a fiberglass laminate that's put together, put under vacuum, and then heated for its final cure. And it's a material that you can get in pretty much any shape that you can think of, also to include panels. And you can get it at different thicknesses and, like I said, different shapes, I-beams, squares, ovals, what have you. In this particular instance, it's probably closest to like 90-degree angle iron. And the reason I'm removing it isn't because that's the material that was used. It's actually because of how this material was installed. Now, as I had mentioned last week, this stuff was everything on here was basically installed using 5200 and a few screws here and there. And, that may seem fine, but eventually that caulking will break down. So given that these are going to be floor supports, I'm just not comfortable with that. I would much rather see it epoxied in and then glassed over as well. Just, like a belt and suspenders kind of approach. And even though these flanges are not glassed in, they're just put in with a 5200, they are still a beast to remove. And honestly, the best way I found to do this is just to beat the crap out of it and then try and get in behind it with some kind of a pry bar and remove what's left. So with the first part of the demolition done, this is kind of where things are at. And yep, right over here, yep, that's the beauty of 5200. But that's not why I'm zooming in here. Well, the reason I'm zooming in is because I ran into a little bit of a snag here, a little bit of a surprise. And that surprise is right here. And if you look, I'm guessing the camera can pick this up. But when you look right in here, this area is all bulged out. Whereas over on the starboard side, well, it's nice and plumb like it should be. So there's a couple things that may be a little bit confusing. The first one being, well, why are my clothes different? Pretty simple answer to that one. I had a little bit of a wardrobe malfunction. So with the first part of this demolition done, this is kind of where things are at right now. Oh my God. That was not my ass. I can't. God damn it, I gotta start over again. And the part that's probably a little bit more interesting to you is, well, why is this area even like this? I mean, think about it. All right, so now I'm standing in the companionway. And this entire area was all basically, so that cutout area there was just basically, it used to be an extension of this. So this entire well was just one big horseshoe well, more or less. Looking at this area down here a little bit closer, after we kind of determined that, that this area here is basically original to the boat, that has not been removed. So that kind of tells me that really none of this down here has really been removed or modified. But something that does look a little goofy is that that is not original. That's been either cut or something. And I'm starting to see, these little cracks up in here. They could be a couple things. They could be just voids. I'm starting to wonder if they might be actually stress cracks, or basically stress fractures in the glass. And I don't know, I can't see up in here. I'm gonna have to kind of stick the camera and see what the camera can pick up. But looking at this bolt, but looking at this down here, it's just very confusing because this part down here, this doesn't look broken. It almost seems like that from the factory, this would have been laid in here kind of wet, and they would have just allowed that bulge to remain there. But again, that just doesn't strike me as meeting the standards of a brand new boat leaving the Bertram factory. So just for the hell of it, I'm going to open this area up a little bit more just because, well, why not? I don't think it's going to really show me any answers, but those two areas that look to be like stress fractures along going up, I want to see if they're actually fractures or if they're just kind of dry layup, and specifically how far up they extend. So I figured once I kind of open up this up a little bit more, I have a better idea of what needs to be done going forward. So let's start some cutting. Well, it looks like we've got some good news and some, I don't know, just kind of slightly disappointing news. Let me show you. All right, so taking a closer look at the cut we just made here and over to our point of interest, I am not seeing really any damage. This area here where there was some cracking, I'm not quite sure what that is. Maybe after a little bit of sanding, I'll be able to pick that up a little bit more, but honestly, it just looks like just lazy construction when this was first built. Just to give you a little bit better of perspective here, I mean, that bottom jots out a good 3 or 4 inches right along the bottom there, right, oops, like right around in here. That's a good 3 or 4 inches in from this top area here. Now take that, opposed to over here. It's nice and flush. Not so much. So what does that mean going forward? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to end up having to cut out that section of the stringer where it's kind of, pushed out a little bit there. Basically cut that pushed out section off, and then I'm thinking that I'll be able to open up enough of a large hole that I can come in from the backside, put some sort of like a thin plywood reinforcement, and then just reglass everything so that it actually comes down nice and flush and meets the actual bottom of the build. That's one thing that needs to that I want to take care of. The other thing I want to take care of is right down in here. Now this is the fuel tank right in here, which we'll be pulling out soon, probably a little bit later in this week, which will be next video. But I want to have the fuel tank kind of in its own sealed compartment. So I'm going to take the tank out. I'm going to put in a plywood divider on this side that'll tie into this rib, and also reinforce this because, well, whoever did this was their idea of reinforcing this top area here. And, well, here's how good of a job that turned out to be. Oh, sure, now it doesn't crack on us. When I stepped on it the first time, it sounded like it was going to break in half, but it's just loose. I might as well just bust that out. But anyways, that's all work that's going to end up having to wait till next week. So with that done, I think this is going to be a good place to end this video. Now, I hope you enjoyed this, and if you did, please hit that thumbs up button. If you have not subscribed already, hit that little subscribe button. I'd love to have you on board. If you have any questions or comments, as always, you can leave those down below. And as always, thank you for your time. Thanks for watching.
This has been a Boatworks Today production.